Hi everybody, it's Father George with you here today, and gee, I miss seeing all of you so much. It's been a while since we've had our preschool chapel, and so I thought maybe I could be with you, even though we're distant from each other during this time, that we could celebrate our preschool chapel service together. We have the candles here and the cross that we use in our chapel service. We're not in the chapel, we're actually in the main church at St. Paul's. And it's just great to be with you today. So I'd like to pray with you, tell a story, and spend this special time together. So why don't we begin with the prayer that we begin chapel service with when we gather? Can you say it with me? God made the sun, and God made the trees, and God made the mountains, and God made me. Thank you, O God, for the sun and the trees, for making the mountains, and for making me. Well, I have a great story I want to tell you today and share with you. It's the Easter story. It's the greatest story that we can remember and tell. It's a story about Jesus being raised from the dead. What an incredible story this is. So I'd like to share it with you. This story begins on the day that's called Good Friday. It's the day that Jesus had died on the cross. And I want to begin our story at the end of the day of Good Friday. When Jesus was taken down from the cross, his friends came together to take his body, and they had no place to bury him. But one of his friends, Joseph, had a tomb, and they took the body of Jesus and brought him to the tomb, and they rolled the big stone in front of the tomb, and they left. The next morning, Mary Magdalene and another Mary went to the tomb to anoint the body of Jesus. But when they arrived, Jesus' body wasn't there. He was gone. And they were frightened, and they were scared. But an angel appeared to them, and the angel said, "He's not here. He's been raised from the dead. He's going to Galilee, and there you will find him." And so Mary Magdalene and the other Mary began to run to the disciples, and on the way, they ran into Jesus. And Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. I am with you. Let's go to Galilee. And there we can gather with the disciples and tell them this wondrous story, this wondrous new part of our lives of Jesus being raised from the dead." And so they met with the disciples, and the disciples were overjoyed to see Jesus alive, being raised from the dead. And they went into the world to talk about this and tell this wondrous story. And now, 2,000 years later, we still tell this incredible story of Jesus being raised from the dead, a life that we share in and live together. What an incredible story. And that's the story that we will celebrate on Easter, the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. Isn't that a great story? Let's pray together as we gather the Lord's Prayer. I'm sure you know this prayer. Let's pray together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. It's usually now that I invite a couple of you to come forward to put the candles out. But since we can't be together, is it okay if I put them out for you? Let me do that as we gather, as we kind of end our service together. Put that candle out. This candle out. Go in peace. It was great being with you, and I can't wait to see you again in the chapel at St. Paul's.